What's going on, folks? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be installing a new hitch for the new truck so I can pull my trailer. The F-150, and I'm sorry I'm battling yard guys here, but my F-150 had a 2-inch trailer receiver. This new truck's got a 2.5-inch. I didn't want to have to deal with putting a sleeve in there because my current hitch that I've been using is a 2-inch hitch. And I just didn't want to deal with putting a sleeve in there and all rattling and getting everything lined up. I've been using the Equalizer 4-way sway control hitch, which has been great. It towed it just fine, but you know, new truck, wanted to get a new hitch. So what we're going with for this new setup, and I bought this is not a sponsored video, is from WaySafe. So I got the middle weight WaySafe hitch. I didn't need the heavyweight, that's for pulling 15,000 plus pounds. But what's in this box is the middleweight. It took 2 of us just to get it into this truck. It is extremely heavy. So I'm gonna get this thing unboxed and kind of show you everything that it comes with. And then I'm gonna download the app, because the first step is I've got to measure the actual tongue weight of this RV. And to be honest with you, I don't really know what the tongue weight is. I'm guessing it's around 800 pounds. But part of this WaySafe is it does have a scale on the hitch, and it's got an app that you put in the tongue weight, and it kind of helps you dial in the amount of weight distribution all through the app. So it looks like a pretty slick setup, but let me get all of this stuff unboxed and kind of show you folks what comes with it. I think this whole setup here cost, I believe it was around 1,100 bucks, which is expensive. But if you look at things like the Anderson hitch, I think is what they call it, that thing's $4,000. Now, yeah, granted, it might be worth the money, but I've seen a lot of reviews and a lot of videos on this WaySafe hitch, and it looks pretty good. So that's what we're gonna be going with on this new setup, but let's get it all unboxed and see what it comes with. So I'm not only battling rain, I'm battling those guys across the street, and it never fails. As soon as I try to film a video outside, here comes the lawn guys. But man, this box there's a ton of stuff in this box. I'm assuming, God bless, these things are heavy. These are gonna be the actual bars, which we're not gonna need yet. We got the owner's manual, which is gonna come in very handy here for this install. And I opted for the 8-inch drop, which is right here. So hopefully this is gonna be enough drop for this F-250, but you can pick between a 4-inch, a 6-inch, I believe a 12-inch. So kind of researching this, most F-250s without a lift typically run the 8-inch drop. So that's what we're gonna try. If it doesn't work, you know, I'll have to get either a longer drop, but you can make this a drop or a rise. But in my case, it's gonna be a drop. It looks like these are all of the hardware for the L brackets. This is a very light box. I don't know what's in here. What did they send me? What is this? Oh, that's nice. I didn't know it came with that. So it comes with a locking hitch pin. That's pretty slick. I bought one of these. I wish I knew that it came with that. But a locking stainless hitch pin with a couple of keys. And then this big guy here, which it looks like is gonna be the actual hitch head. But let's try to get some of this stuff out. Oh my goodness. All right, so here are the L brackets. And the actual hitch itself is right here. Okay. And that's it. So these are pretty slick, guys. I know, oh, no, I forgot all the grease. But stainless steel ball head. Gonna get all nasty, but here's the hitch itself. So this is kind of everything that comes in the package when you buy this kit. Next step is I've got to get these L brackets off the trailer that are currently being used with my Equalizer hitch. And we'll do some measurements and I'll show you how to get the L bracket set up on the frame. All right, so these are 19mm bolts on the original L brackets that we're gonna have to take off. Maybe. Oh, jeez. Those are on there good. Looks like I'm gonna have to take this battery box off too to get to the bolts behind it. Nothing's easy, seems like, when it comes to RV maintenance. Yeah, let's just get this battery completely off. I can fight it, or I can just take it off. It'll be easier. All right. Okay. Should give me a little bit more room to work with now, hopefully. I don't know what the torque setting on these things are, but man, need a breaker bar. Jeez. Whew. I'm gonna see if I've got a breaker bar. Well, that makes it a lot easier. Way more torque. All right. Whew. I'll come back when I get all these bolts taken out of these L brackets. But whoever put these things on, I'm lightheaded. They didn't ever plan on them coming off. Okay, well that required a whole lot of sweat, a whole lot of scuffs on the knuckles. But now I can use my standard little torque wrench and bust these things off. But my gosh, that had to have been 250 torque foot of pounds. Holy moly. These were not going anywhere. Hopefully that's the hardest part of this whole process. Whew. Just making sure you guys were awake. But one thing about these equalizer hitches that I do like, that I hope I'm going to be able to use on the WaySafe, are these little L bracket pins. These are the best, and I'm dripping sweat. But these are just the absolute best because you slip them in here and they got a built-in latch pin. So I am going to save these and hope they work. But now I got to go get this other one off on the other side. Well, luckily this side was not near as tight, but unluckily it's starting to rain now. Yeah, that side didn't take quite as much blood and sweat to get off. So we got both of these L brackets off. I'm going to pull up the directions to see the exact length that I need to install the WaySafe L brackets, because you got to measure from where the ball meets the trailer and measure back, and I'm hoping that it's not going to be right here where the propane tank's is currently sitting. All right, so per the instructions, you kind of have to start this whole setup by knowing your tongue weight, and since I don't know the actual exact tongue weight, it says to kind of guesstimate this first go round. So it says to kind of guess where you're going to put this hitch, best guess essentially. So I'm going to put this hitch pin in here and we're going to get it. I know that the coupler height on that one, the trailer is level, is 20 inches on level ground. And we're just going to kind of fiddle with this. This isn't going to be exact just yet, but I'm just kind of trying to see what holes I need. Oh, God, that's heavy. So I want it above 20. I'm going to put it at around 22 inches. So I'm going to need the 1, 2, 3, the fourth hole to start with. There, now that'll at least hold that for me. And literally, I think just hand tight is going to be good enough on these, because I'm just measuring the tongue weight. That's all I'm doing right now. And let me double check where that puts the top of this hitch, the top of the ball. About 21 3/4. So you do want this ball to be higher than your leveled coupler height on your trailer. And the instructions say for about every 100 pounds, raise it up 1/8 of an inch. So I'll probably have it up a little too high. But I think this is going to be good enough for now, just to get the tongue weight measurement from this gauge here on the side. So I got to get all the stuff out of the way, back my truck up, lower the trailer down on this ball. There we go. Just passing 500 pounds. 600, 700. I ran out of room. We're sitting right at 700 pounds right now, but I think it's gonna be a little bit more, but I think I'm gonna have to raise this up because I can't lift up my tongue jack anymore to get this block out from underneath it. So that's fun. All right, round two. Raise this up one hole to hopefully give me clearance to get this thing off. But maybe now we'll get a little bit more accurate tongue weight. There we go. Now I can get this out. All right, so the way the trailer and the truck are sitting right now, I am at, 900 pound tongue weight. 900 on the nose. So let's see what we got to do next. Luckily, I'm going to be able to use the same locations for my L brackets as I did on the equalizer hitch, because you had to measure from the center of the coupler back 32 inches. 32 inches, I got all this stuff, so I can't put it, but you can go up a minimum of 27 inches. So really, anywhere between 27 inches and 32 inches, you can place these L brackets. Right here where the L brackets were on my equalizer hitch is 29 inches. So that's where I'm gonna put them, and luckily I've got a mark here, so I know exactly where they go. I'm just gonna kind of place these the same spot that my other ones were, making sure I don't get any of these wires. Okay, and then I'm gonna grab this next bolt, stick it through the very bottom, get my lock washer and my nut. Just going back and forth. All right, that looks good, both sides. So now I'm gonna get these cranked down to 90 foot-pounds. "90 foot-pounds is a little harder to get to than I thought. There's 90 there. There, 90 there. Whew. And 90. All right, next we got to put on the actual L brackets that those weight distribution bars are going to sit on top of. Now the directions say the ideal or manufacturer's recommended height of these things is 9 inches. The top of this bracket is 9 inches below the coupler. So I'm going to measure where I think is going to be 9 inches, and we should be good to go. All right, so 9 inches from the top of the coupler is going to put that bracket right there. Just to make sure. Yep, right at 9 inches. Easy peasy. Okay, we're gonna get a lock washer, both of these bolts, some screws, and then torque these things down to, I believe, 90 as well, unfortunately. And I don't know how accurate this little Tecton torque wrench is, but it's all I got. So hopefully it'll get us close to 90 foot-pounds. There we go. $90. Same for the other side. There we go. All right, now you also do need to check, there's some bolts underneath here, some nuts underneath here that you are supposed to check to make sure they're set to 60 foot-pounds of torque. However, I don't have a socket big enough to test right now, so I will definitely check those once I got a big enough socket. But next step is to get these spring arms located into these, and then we're gonna pull up the app, and that's when you really start to set what they call the DTW, or distributed tongue weight. That you got this little bolt up here, this little hex head bolt right here that you're gonna turn, and it's going to transfer the weight back and forth until you get it set up, dialed in just right on the app. At least that's the plan. That's kind of what makes these little hitches a little bit different than everything else, is you got an app to really kind of help you dial in the distribution of the weight. So let's get these spring bars taken out of the package. Oh God, they're heavy. And it does come with a little helper tool to help you get these things up onto that L bracket if you need it. I never used it for the equalizer, but maybe this one's different. But man, these are some heavy duty bars. So one end has got a little notch that's gonna go into right down here. So you're gonna take out these clevis pins, and then these just slide in. Put this back in. There we go. And these are under, what gives you the sway control is these two pieces of, these two metal plates right here on top and bottom of this spring arm pivot is under quite a bit of pressure. So it takes quite a bit of force to move these things in and out. And that's what's gonna help you that's what's gonna give you sway control. And we're just gonna pull these to the side, give me room to back up. All right, so next step before we gotta take a few measurements is get this trailer back on the ball, and I gotta put my battery back on. All right, we are free and clear. Get that lock back on. Okay, now time to get the app pulled up. Okay, so I've got the app, the WaySafe app pulled up, and the first thing you have to do is set up your vehicle. So I went to new vehicle setup. I know it's kind of hard to see here, but I'm in new vehicle setup, name of the vehicle. I got to input my GVWR, my max cargo capacity or payload, and my gross combined weight rating or GCWR. So I'm gonna go get this put in. Then you're gonna go to your trailer and basically do the same thing for your trailer. So let me get all that set up and we'll come back. Is about 980 pounds. So I'm pretty, you know, the way that I have this set up right now, I might need to pull forward. I think that's what I'm gonna do, guys, because I'm pretty unlevel right now. So I wanna make sure I'm as level as possible to get a true accurate tongue weight reading, because I don't think that this tongue weight weighs almost 1,000 pounds. I hope not. Well, I moved the trailer up the driveway a little bit, so we're sitting a little bit more level. And what I didn't do back there was input the actual cargo weight that we're gonna be carrying in the truck. So I took myself, my wife, 2 kids, and a little bit of stuff, and that's gonna be around 515, 525 pounds. That's just an estimate. Then I added 125 pounds worth of groceries and stuff that we typically carry in the camper. We don't ever carry water really in the camper. So that ended up changing my tongue weight ratio to 608 pounds to 913 pounds. And I am right at the max. I'm sitting at like 910 pounds on my tongue weight. I went through the cargo bay area, took out what I could, and this is pretty much as light as I'm gonna be able to get this tongue weight with the 2 propane tanks and the bigger battery. So it is what it is. I'm gonna end up being between 900 to 1,000 pounds worth of tongue weight on this thing, I'm afraid. But that's all I got to work with, so that's what we're gonna do. So I'm gonna store all of these settings in the app, and then we gotta make a couple of measurements. All right, so the first measurement that we have to take to input into the app is you make these spring bars 90 degrees, and you measure from the front side facing the closest to the tow vehicle, from that side to the center line of the axle in inches. And that is going to give me 62 inches. So I'm going to put that in the app. We got 62. Okay, now next measurement is from the front of this spring bar to the center line of these L brackets. So that's going to give me 29 inches. Now, from the front face of the spring bar to the center line of the trailer axle. And since I have two axles, we're going to measure right in the center of both the axles back there in the rear. I've got a 25-foot tape measure. Hopefully this is enough. All right. This is where having two people is sometimes beneficial. All right, so the measurement from the front of the spring bar to the center of my axles down there was 253 inches. My drawbar position is in the drop position. I've got 2 holes visible. Okay, I'm gonna hit save. Okay, well this makes me feel a little better. After I put in all those measurements, it's giving me a safe tongue weight range of 750 pounds to 1,125 pounds. So I think once I input, I kind of didn't really follow directions that well. I needed to input all of these measurements first, then that gives me a true safe, what they consider safe tongue weight rating. So again, I've got up to 1,125 pounds according to this, and I am sitting at, I'm gonna say 950 pounds. I put a few more things up there. So 950 pounds. And I'm gonna hit calculate. Okay, this is giving me my DTW, what they call DTW, or distributed tongue weight. So what I'm going to do now is there is a pin, and I'll give you an up close view of this, but there is a pin on the front of this hitch that I'm going to either turn clockwise or counterclockwise, and it's going to essentially add more weight to that hitch, or it's going to add distributed weight. And this is giving me, I can go up to the minimum is going to be 2,300 pounds that I see on that gauge, and the maximum is going to be 2,550 pounds that I see on that gauge. That's not the weight, that's not the tongue weight. Okay, the tongue weight's 950 pounds, but I'm going to go crank that bolt on the front to get to my distributed tongue weight, and that should, in effect, give me proper distributed weight. But just to see if that does any difference, I'm going to measure up here. So right now, before I put any weight distribution on that hitch, I'm going to measure center. Looks like we are sitting at, just to the bottom of this fender, 42 5/8. Hope I can remember that. 42 5/8. All right, so next step now is to get these spring arms attached. And we're going to have to lift this trailer up a little bit. There we go. All right, so now that I've got these spring arms attached, I'm gonna go ahead and lower it back down, and I'm gonna use the calculation that's on the app, whatever that is, it's in my pocket. And this app is telling me that my safe zone, my target pounds, is 2,450 pounds that I'm going to put on this hitch with this bolt on the front. I can go between 2,300 and 2,550 pounds. So 2,450 is kind of right there in the middle. So I'm going to go get a 19 mil socket and start turning this bolt on top until I reach 2,400-ish pounds. That should give me the proper weight distribution that I need for this setup. So the first thing that we want to do before dialing in our weight distribution is loosen up this 3/4 inch bolt. Not much, just enough. Okay, so that's loosened. Now, I'm gonna go up here to what they call the lead screw. It's essentially a bolt, hex head bolt, but they call it a lead screw. And clockwise adds weight, counterclockwise decreases the tongue weight, the distributed tongue weight. So I'm going to add until this says 2,450 pounds. But once you do this the first time and get it all dialed in, you don't really have to do it again. All right, well, just like everything else, that took a little bit of work, but my dial is right at around 2,400 pounds now. So that's set. I'm gonna tighten this back up. And that's all she wrote. So let me scoot you back. So you can hopefully see here that my bars are parallel to my trailer, which is good. You don't want them like this and you don't want them like that. That is pretty perpendicular to the bottom of my A-frame right there on my trailer. You can see here the gauge is right at almost 2,450 pounds. So my driveway is a little bit like this, but I'm gonna go measure the front of this wheel well again, see where we're sitting. I believe we were at 42 5/8 before this. We are now at, okay, it did push the front end down. We are at 42 1/8. So it pushed it down about 1/2 inch. So it is working. It's hard to get an exact, make sure this is working exact with the way that I have this trailer set up right now on this driveway, because it is a little bit uneven, and you really want to set these things up on the most perfect level spot that you can find. I just don't have anywhere to take this trailer to this weekend that is perfectly level, so I think this is going to have to be as good as I can get it. But overall, the setup wasn't too bad. It took me about 2 hours, but we had some rain, and I had to take the other hitch off, which took the longest part of this. But overall, I do like the hitch. It's extremely heavy duty, very nicely built, USA made, all good stuff. So again, this is the WaySafe middleweight Gen 2, and I'll put a link for their website down below. I paid for this. This isn't a sponsor for WaySafe, but obviously I'll give you guys an update on my first tow. I haven't even towed with this new Super Duty yet. I'm trying to get to 1,000 miles because I'm trying to break this engine in. So hopefully we'll get this thing out at the end of this month to give it its first tow. But overall, I knew that I needed a new hitch, so I'm glad I picked this one up, and I'll be able to compare this one to my equalizer hitch that I've been using, because I really didn't have a problem with the equalizer hitch. It worked just fine. So at least now I'll have something to compare this to. But anyway, folks, that's it for how to install a weight distribution hitch. Hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below and I'll get back to you. But otherwise, gang, we'll see you soon. Take care.